Okay, welcome everyone to the Sunbury Parks and Recreation Committee meeting for May 4th, 2022. It's about 5:32 p.m. How about a call to order, Olivia?
Tim Gose.
Here.
Cindy Cooper. Dave Martin.
Here. Thank you. Let's move to the minutes approval to for the April 6th, 2022 meeting last month. Motion to approve by Ms. Cooper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Martin. Any discussion? Go ahead, Olivia.
Tim Gose.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper. Yes. Dave Martin.
Yes.
Minutes approved. Thank you. Okay, visitors. I do not see any visitors here this evening out in the crowd. No one online, right? They actually have to be here now, correct? For visitor presentation. All right, let's go to old business and see what we have here. The most pressing need we have here in 2 days coming up this Friday is the Big Walnut Day of Service, I should say, and that's the middle school students. And Steve and Olivia have been coordinating that. So Steve or Olivia, you want to mention what the plan is?
Sure. So Big Walnut Middle School kids will be dropped off on the square between 9 and 12 on Friday. They'll be doing mulching, and they'll be planting a buckeye tree in memorial of Mr. Weatherby. Some kids will be doing mulching on the square. Some will be going down to the cemetery. And then there's another group of kids that have coordinated with the library and the Rotary Club to plant a peace pole there. So
do we have a set time for the peace pole?
Yes, I think 9 a.m. they're going to be dropped off first at the library, right? For the peace pole planting.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna get dropped off, it's gonna be like a shuttle. So some kids are gonna get dropped off at the library and some kids are gonna get dropped off here. So they said that 9 o'clock is the time when all the kids are getting on the bus and coming. So they said they should be here around 9.
Okay. And that's been communicated with Rotary?
Yes, we communicated with Gary Saltis this morning. And he replied, and he's all squared away.
So the peace pole is being placed at 9 a.m. at the library.
Well, that's when they'll
That's when
start their
they'll-
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the students will show up there at 9. So I imagine once they get a little organized, maybe,
All right.
9:15-ish, something like that, they'll probably dig a hole,
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say, probably have to
And
get
the
some-
tree is being planted, but the dedication of the tree is not happening Friday, right?
Yes, I just communicated with Sean and Scott Weatherby today to confirm that and once again, and mentioned that they'll be planning it around 11 a.m. I said 10:45 to 11.
Okay.
Right now, the tentative plan is 10:45 to 11. Out here, there's a cone
Yeah.
where we mark the spot. And I invited the Weatherbys to be there if anyone wants to show up to watch it or take a few pictures while they're planting it. And then he's going to get back to me for a date later this month for the official commemoration ceremony. And this is the plaque that we're going to put on. It
Oh, cool.
has a nice spring. There's a spring in here, and that goes around the tree and it grows.
And would you read what the plaque says?
Yes. It says, and these words were chosen by the Weatherby family.
Oh, cool.
In memory of Leonard R. Weatherby, 31 years of committed and distinguished service. 31 years of committed. I think it is and. You can see, looks like a little and mark, or of actually. 31 years of committed, that's and distinguished service. I see it now, I need my glasses. To the city of Sunbury, 1998 to 2019.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
think about that.
And you're thinking it'll be planted right around 11? He was my boss when I was village administrator, so I'd like to be over there when that happens. So,
Mhm.
Probably 10:45 to 11.
all right,
We gotta get them done by noon. We're gonna have the whole
right.
pre-dug other and then put the stuff back in so they can.
So I can go to the peace pole
You can do
thing
that.
and then come up from there.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my plan too. I plan to be there for both.
Okay.
I think I would like to be there for the Peace Bowl. I don't think I can make it later. We have plans at noon, but
Okay, and then when they get back to me on the date for the official ceremony, we'll communicate that out.
and I think your email said you're hoping within 10 to 14 days. I read that as 10-14, like they were thinking October 14th, and I was like, hold on, and then I reread it before I panicked, and then I was like, that makes much more sense.
No, that would
Read
have been,
twice
that
before
would
you
have been a
panic.
nightmare 6 months later.
I know, I know, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I did send a note to him a few minutes before the meeting and I said later this month.
Okay.
And he said, we'll let you know.
Okay.
So looking forward to that. All
So
right,
it sounds like everything is set. You guys feel confident and comfortable with Fridays? Okay.
you never know.
Unless you can be with middle school.
With a bunch
Yeah.
of kids coming?
I've played a mulch before with him. It's fun.
Mhm.
So we'll see how it goes. The weather, I think, I took a look at it. It's kind of rainy though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
So
sort of been on and off rain all
Exactly.
week, so
Yeah. Hopefully.
it won't melt.
hopefully we'll have a window.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move over to J.R. Smith and see what's happening over there. I know we got the auction, personal property auction set up. When is that, Steve? Anything?
Kathy is on vacation.
Yeah, it's May 11th.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because actually, I think it conflicts with the events committee.
Yes, we have an
Yeah.
events committee that day. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, not that it really conflicts, but I mean, it's at the same
that'll be in the evening then,
time.
Afternoon,
not.
3:30.
Yeah.
3:30, okay.
3:30, and this is 4.
Usually, yeah, 4.
Are you typically at those auctions, Steve?
Generally Kathy goes to clerk them, but I'm gonna have to clerk them, so.
Where will that be located, actually?
Right at.
At the park?
Park, yeah.
Okay. Who's the auctioneer?
May 11th.
Chip's doing it? Okay. And
But Mr. Hennessy, you'll be able to make the events. Okay.
okay, we've publicized that, or do we need to publicize it? I think we have
Both of
publicized
them
it.
have been,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Make it, maybe put it out on Facebook too.
Yeah, let's do that
Yeah.
too.
We did the legal part that we had to do.
Okay, very good.
When someone buys them, do they take them immediately or is there a certain time frame that they can come back and get them?
It becomes their property once they buy it. Some of it, it won't be that day, because we're trying to sell light poles and
Yeah,
stuff.
I was wondering, we're going to be getting rid of the stand, correct, the announcer stand,
Yeah,
but what did we decide to keep the scoreboard? But will they be able to use the scoreboard if they don't have access to the stand?
we've got to figure out a way to wire it back
Okay.
somehow. But
That's for the lacrosse team.
yeah,
Hmm.
in the last couple Sundays, unless they're playing earlier in the day, when I went by 5 o'clock or so, there wasn't anybody there, but maybe they're playing earlier in the day. But
Yeah, I'd have to look. I texted Mr. Ghost because Nancy and I were walking and it was filled.
Mhm.
But I'd have to go back and see when that was. Okay.
Okay, do we have any other activity going on over there, Steve or Olivia, with security updates or locks and motion detection or lighting or anything like that yet?
that all's done. Other than we do have a outdoor camera that we could put in. It does require a battery, replacement and recharge. So we're contemplating how to do that, make it reasonable to service it and yet make it a little hard for somebody just to come up and take it. So,
Okay,
but the insides is secured at this point.
have we heard anything further? I think it was the Lions Club about helping us repair and renovate the building.
Not much. I'm waiting. The court cases are winding down now.
Well, that's right, we had the
Got a couple
vandalism.
subpoenas for next week. We'll see if that And then probably,
We need to see how that shakes out, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
You said the auction is May 11th?
Mhm.
At what time?
What is that? 4 PM?
Is this, I can check our calendar.
What day is that? Middle of, next week?
Wednesday.
That's a week from today.
today.
Mhm. Okay, anything further? J.R. Smith?
So yeah, that's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, okay.
Calendar.
Okay, more old business, reservoir. I think we had some concerns and Cindy had pointed out, if you could bring up the pictures, Olivia, that Cindy took. Was this in the past week or two?
I'm sorry,
Were these taken in the past couple weeks?
they were taken within the last week, yeah.
Okay,
So so I think that's a beer tab right there. It was not my beer, let the record reflect. We were walking for exercise. So Mr. Martin, what, you were saying that on the side, it was, when you went, the dirt was above or below the trail when you went?
In some areas, it was above.
It was above.
And it had rained the day before, a lot of rain.
Yeah,
And so there was mud washing onto the path from
okay,
the ground beside the path.
okay. When I went, it was mostly below. But Olivia, would you mind going to one of the farther shots? So I just thought, and maybe this is just my opinion, but I just thought like, it looked like it was just in and out, in and out, in and out on the sides. So it just doesn't look really nice in my opinion, but if that's the way that it is, and that's the way it is. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because I don't know that you've had the opportunity to walk up there. And then I didn't know if there's a plan for anything on the sides, because it just looks like there's weeds and just doesn't look finished yet. And I didn't know if there was a plan for anything to make it a little more visually appealing.
I can speak to that. So there's a few items on the punch list still remaining. One is one of our inspectors was out there with Facemeyer, the contractor on the project. So a couple things. One, Sheedy Paving was the asphalt subcontractor. There are some edge repairs and there's a few areas where we're going to straighten those edges. The edges in general were seeded from what I understand last fall, but the seed didn't take obviously in some areas. They're coming back to fine grade that, put topsoil down, seeded. If there are some high areas where the soil's higher than the asphalt, that'll be graded down.
Okay.
So it's going to be kind of regraded, reseeded around that edge. There might have been some other pieces on the punch list for the asphalt. The other thing is a couple of the inlet structures, the openings are not cut out yet, which was part of that contract as well. So you got to get the concrete stuff out there. So there's still 4, 5, 6 things on that punch list to be completed. Just now that the weather's starting to break as far as grading and seeding and asphalt work, we'll get that.
Now's the time, plant the grass. Mhm.
And then Mr. Ghost, do you remember as far as like, that was all, are we still in phase 1? Is there beyond the punch list or is like, when does the ADA compliant to get up there? When does that come in?
That's a good question.
Because Nancy and I are fairly young, despite having a birthday yesterday. I'm still fairly young, and we had difficult like getting up there. So I can't imagine it.
Yeah, I have a few ideas in my head about that, but I'm going to defer to Wes at the moment. Do you recall what the schedule is on
That's
that, Wes?
the ODNR grant.
Yes.
Scope, which is
Mhm.
not designed yet and not constructed yet. So there.
So not
there's,
too soon.
And we need to, there may be a little bit of a scope change here. I think the original one had a switchback in it, Steve, if I'm correct. And then
It
we
was
may look
along it
something
almost, the
else.
path went the length of the,
Yeah, we did that to avoid a steep pitch, so we flattened it out and did it more lengthwise, right?
There's a gradual path up to that path,
Yes.
but it's not paved yet or anything. But that's the way you walk up, and it's pretty gradual. I don't know if it meets ADA requirements as far as pitch or slope is concerned. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right, when you first come in the gate,
Right.
if you angle to the right, you start up a slower grade or lower grade and get up there. That's why I went up, and I didn't have any trouble getting up there.
Okay.
But
that's one thing we want to look at is
Mhm.
when that we start to get rid of the, or reuse the service department buildings, using that pad for the handicap parking and then having the parking, we gain some elevation just by having it up there. And then, as you said, it's right those gates, it's a little easier. I don't think it'll be as big of a project as a diagonal running almost the whole length of the one reservoir to get up.
And the other pieces were the fishing piers. I remember we had a discussion about the types of pier to choose. I think that's sort of still up in the air because really what the linchpin is to get everything going is kind of holding it back is the trying to decide what firm to use to help us plan that out along with the Newman building and that property. So if it's my understanding, right, Daryl?
Yeah, and that issue is going to be on the council agenda for this evening.
So that should be,
is it necessary to have the gate and the fence all the way around that property now? The reason it was there before was to protect the water because that was the village's water supply originally.
mhm.
And
Our zoning code for that size of a body of water would require a fence.
okay,
So if we want to live by our own zoning code
right.
as much as we can, then
But people can come and go just by walking through the gate. Yeah. And does the park close at dark? Because if it does, we need a sign there that says closes at dark or something. Yeah.
At dusk, maybe.
Yeah, we have one at Freedom Park that says that. It says just park is open from dawn to dusk.
Okay. Well, we probably ought to put something similar to that up at the reservoir also.
Yeah, I just made me think of signage in terms of I don't think I've ever seen a sign out there that says the Reservoir
Public.
City of Sunbury Reservoir Park or,
Yeah, open to the public.
you know, like we have at Freedom Park, which incidentally I wanted to make a note. Steve or Libby, could you look into repairing or replacing that sign? At Freedom
Oh, at
Park,
Freedom Park?
you know, for now, maybe we could use some, maybe that's a good volunteer item.
Mhm.
Have it stripped and painted at least, because it's pretty dilapidated. And then secondarily, let's look at maybe some sign options for the park reservoir.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, we had something come up recently about catch and release there and about maybe we need to have signs for that. So we could maybe look into
yeah,
different options.
I remember talking about that before, getting a catch and release out there. I think that's a good idea too. Okay. The other piece of that too was, I think a small gravel parking lot, if I'm not mistaken, right, Wes?
Correct.
For phase one, and maybe a couple trash cans. So hopefully we'll get that moving forward, maybe tonight the council meeting, get some clarification. Okay, let's go to, well, we have Wes ready here. Fallen Heroes Trail. How are we doing there on the punch list and extension of the trail, Wes?
As far as the punch list, we're waiting for the weather and Basemeyer to finish up the punch list there. So They actually went over this week with one of our inspectors and looked at that. So more rain last night. He's trying to wait for a dry period here to do a little bit of grading and seeding, cut a small swale there to help with drainage, pavement markings, and then the flasher on the RRFB.
And John Marr was working and coordinating with ODOT, right? Or not ODOT, ODNR, I think, trying to get some answers with regard to the extension, the path extension.
Yeah, so, and then moving to phase 3 and 4 of the extension, our survey crew was out this week.
Mhm.
So we were also picking up some shots on phase 2 just to verify compliance with the plans. And then we were looking at property corners to identify the location of that upper option to run that
Right,
trail straight from Granville there.
That might very well be
And then phase 4, just picking up some property corners there to identify that. So they're bringing all that information back to John, and we'll be looking at that shortly.
okay. All right, very good. Any other questions down there?
Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Okay, you had a note here, Olivia, let's go to new business. 4th of July. I mean, 5K in July. I really need my
Better get those glasses
glasses. 5K in July. Are you speaking about this 5K race this Saturday? Or is this something different?
No, this was, I believe, I think it's called Sparks for Hope, maybe. It's an event that came through.
Oh, okay. Do we need to discuss that here? Have you okayed it or?
Yeah, I think it's gone through the process. It's gone through police and streets. And I think Joe and Steve have both signed off on it, so.
Okay, all right, good deal. And then speaking of races, I had this,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who she said. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, that it had just gone through the process, had gone through police, had approved it, and streets department approved it, and Joe and Steve.
the organization is called Sparks for Hope.
I think it's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
Can
right.
you tell us about that? Do you know anything?
No, I'm not exactly, I don't know much about it. I just know that the application came across my desk and I forwarded it on to who needed it.
Okay, it's not a 4th of July event. It's just sometime
No.
in July.
And yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's even, towards the end of July.
Okay,
Have they identified what they want the route to be for the 5K?
Yes. That was part of the approval.
It
that they
will
had.
include closing some streets or?
No,
Okay.
at least I don't believe so.
I don't
I don't
think so.
remember that. I think there was one that had an idea of closing streets, but I don't think they pursued it. But I don't think this one does.
and the mayor and Chief Howard
Mhm.
have approved
Yep.
it. Okay,
And parades is something that we're gonna be weaving into the events committee.
Right.
So.
excellent. And speaking of 5Ks, we do have one this Friday. Just a reminder, it's the Chiefs Champions 5K and 1 mile walk. Sunbury Christian Church, 9 a.m. 1 mile walk begins, 9:30 a.m. the 5K starts. Awards to be awarded and different age groups here. I have a flyer I can pass over to you guys. And this is, as you recall, Chief Wilson, right? Jeff Wilson,
Yeah.
who passed away a couple of years ago from cancer. I think might be the third or fourth year we've had this race. And the Civic Association puts it on.
It's probably been longer because 2 years of COVID were in there, and I remember it being before then, so.
Yeah, it's probably been 5. Okay. Let's see. Any other old business?
You have Source Point on here. Was there anything we needed to discuss about?
We
Source
had
Point?
some communication via an email. Daryl, maybe you recall.
Yeah, I do. I was just going to give you an update. I did reach
Yeah.
out to Source Point. In particular, Claire Decker, who is the
That's who it was.
administrator of community program. I think she was following up on Jackie
Height.
Haight. Anyway, so I reached out to her, talked to her a little bit more about what some of the programming options might be here in Sunbury. As a result of that conversation, we talked a little bit more about the role that the library was playing, and they're supporting SourcePoint at this point. So we agreed that I would reach out to the library. So I do have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Montgomery on Monday at 1 o'clock, just to talk about what they're doing. I
Good.
indicated to him that we just wanted to complement, not compete with their programming. So we'll go through what he's got. And then at that point, I told Claire I would circle back with her, probably invite her over to Sunbury to look at the facilities. And then we'd be able to kind of begin to sort through what some of the best options might be.
Excellent.
I've seen some really cool programming come out of the library. They're offering like help. I know they're offering help for caregivers and
Yes.
lots of just really cool stuff. So
Yeah.
and I've also seen on social media a need where folks are reaching out and saying, my mom needs something to do. What are your moms doing, or what are your parents doing, or and so there's a need for that generation to have things to do in Sunbury. So it'll be great if we can get that going.
Yeah. So that caregiver kind of educational process or support system, that is one of the programs that SourcePoint had indicated travels well. So happy to see that the library is doing it. Like I said, we didn't want to compete with them on that front. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's good feedback. The other thing I think we want to, if the committee has thoughts in terms of, and I know we had a presentation at a recent meeting about what type of programming would we want to see in Sunbury. I know most of what that report was about was not really the 55 plus group, but if you have thoughts on what you'd like to see, shoot them to me and I'll make sure that I have an explicit conversation with SourcePoint about whether they've got an option on that front. So.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
What, you said your meeting is Monday?
Yeah, so it's Monday with the
Johnson.
library.
Oh, okay.
And
There's
then-
still some time before you.
And then I'll follow up with the SourcePoint folks at that point.
Okay. We'll think quickly.
Yeah, and if anybody is interested in joining me, I'll keep you in the loop and
That's what you said with Chauncey Montgomery, right?
yeah, on Monday at 1,
Okay.
we're going to meet over at the municipal building. So
All right. Very good. Thank you, Daryl. New business. I did have an eye on there about the Rosecrans Park tree inspection. So I talked to Aaron Noblet a few days ago, and he mentioned that he did a walkthrough over there and he saw, 3 major invasive species from Asia. The most dangerous one was a flowering pear, then a honeysuckle, and then a multiflora rose. He suggests that we remove them and the stumps. And he asked that we schedule a walkthrough with him soon. And he'll do it obviously free of charge, his advice. So I said yes, and we're going to get a date together to walk it.
General Rosecrans.
Mhm.
Okay.
And just see if we can identify anything else that we might have to take out. All right.
Okay.
I think that's all I had. Sorry, I don't have anything more. I was on vacation last week. I was kind of pressed for time. Any other discussion items you all might have?
Unrelated to parks, but I'm just curious, Olivia, do we have a nameplate for you?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes.
If we didn't, then
I was
I
gonna
was
say,
gonna say we
this
need
is
to get
probably
one
not-
for you.
Yep.
Okay.
Duly noted.
It's like a Dave Martin catch, honestly.
Okay, anything else from our highly paid intellectuals over here? Nothing, okay. Yeah, motion for adjournment, anyone?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Ms. Cooper, I will second.
Tim Ghost,
Yes,
Cindy Cooper. Yes. Dave Martin.
Yes.
meeting adjourned. Thank you.